At Post University, there's never been a better time to get your degree. Choose from over 50 degrees and programs that fit within your busy schedule and are designed to help you get on the path to more earning power. Come for the flexible online courses. Stay for the personalized support you'll get every step of the way. Post makes it personal. Find your fit at post.edu.
Hot flashes, irritability, intimate dryness, even unsatisfying sex. Hi, I'm Dr. Alyssa Dweck, a board-certified OBGYN who has spent over 20 years helping women just like you safely find relief from these very natural symptoms without having to resort to hormones. To help my patients feel their best, I recommend products from Bonafide Health. Bonafide is a women's health company dedicated to providing women with non-hormonal and clinically validated products that work. Bonafide provides safe and effective solutions to manage a range of menopausal, sexual health, and PMS-related symptoms. That's why I recommend Bonafide products to my patients every day. In fact, I am also a Bonafide medical advisor. What I like most is that Bonafide products provide women real relief without compromise. Ladies, don't waste another minute feeling less than your best. Go to hellobonafide.com and use code radio39 to save 20%. That's hellobonafide.com and code radio39.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Offer valid on subscription only.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 290. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
When's the last time you guys watched a Trump rally?
We watched a clip like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a clip. A clip. You know, you think, well, okay, so they can take stuff out of context or whatever. But watching him, I watched a good maybe half hour before we jumped on today. Mostly because I wanted to see if anybody was going to chant, and if so, what it was. But also just because I haven't actually paid attention to what he's saying. Maybe it's changed. I don't know.
Maybe it's like watching a car crash.
Yeah. You know, he started out really strong. He came out with Lock Her Up and then moved on to tax breaks. And then they all played a game of Find the Black Person. He's talking about how good his tax breaks and his economic stuff has been for black people. And he kind of turns around to the crowd behind him, and it's a bunch of white people. And they're just looking at each other clapping. And then he starts looking around. Where are they? Where are they? And then has to point off into the distance. There they are. Apparently all the black people were in like one section, or maybe there was just one of them.
Please tell me he didn't say they.
I would have to watch the footage again. He was kind of off mic when he said it because he turns away from the podium. But I'm pretty sure that's what he said was, where are they? And then they all clapped at the black people, and he gave them a couple fist bumps. Or fist pumps, I should say, not fist bumps, because they were nowhere near the stage.
Did he throw out a grape soda into the crowd, too? I mean, well, it's just... If you're going to be insulting, just go all the way.
He tucked that and a few chicken legs into a fucking roll of paper towels and did a nice hook shot into the crowd.
You say chicken dinner's on me after the rally, boys?
Yeah, I mean,
2019. You can't say they. How do we not know this?
I'll give him this. He is entertaining. If you're able to separate yourself from this country and all the people that you care about that are inside of it, or maybe just smack yourself over the head with a ball-peen hammer, he's really enjoyable to watch.
Well, that's the one thing I've said about his presidency. Have you not been entertained?
Yeah, not necessarily in a good way.
I didn't say it was good entertainment. I just said, have you not been entertained?
In the way that Blue Velvet was an entertaining movie.
Takes all kinds.
Right. So,
did you see last night's episode of Woke Island?
I can't. Well, at the rally he was going after Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. So I'm assuming those were the standout candidates from each debate.
I'm voting for Joe. Joe seems to be the only sane person on that stage.
You're voting for Joe to be the one that's going. You're voting on him being the strongest candidate that's actually going to get the nomination, right?
If it comes to Michigan in the primary, I'm voting for that guy.
Or you just say more broadly, that's your candidate.
Yeah, and if he makes it to the big one, I'm voting for him. He seems like the most sane person out of that field.
Yeah, and not that I didn't already know this, but if I needed further proof of getting my information from multiple sources, the debates were a perfect example. I wasn't able to watch them in real time. I've read pieces about a lot of opinion pieces about them, some general breakdowns. Watched some clips and saw Twitter reaction to it.
I can tell you that.
Right? Twitter reaction happened to be what I saw first. And it seemed like Joe Biden did very poorly, if you believed what most of the people, both Democrat and Republican that I follow on Twitter, they all seemed like he did not do well.
Because he was a punching bag. He was getting beat up on by everybody.
Yeah, and that's what I was seeing is so-and-so went after Joe Biden, Tulsi went after him, Harris, of course, went after him. And I'm like, boy, he's getting beat up hard. And then I watched some clips of him responding, and I'm like, he seems all right.
Yeah.
He seems to be weathering this rather well, actually.
Well, and what I wanted to mention, too, just you were talking about how we both kind of did the same thing with the debates. We didn't watch them. We kept up with them online, read Twitter, all that stuff. Yesterday's, because we're recording on Thursday, so we're talking about the Wednesday debate. Yesterday's debate, it seems, the same opinions about it. But my thing with the debate on Tuesday, you read 5 different articles the next day. You got 5 different opinions on how it went.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch any of either, but I did listen in on crystal clear AM radio.
As long as you weren't under a bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably the best way to consume it.
And it just reaffirmed.
You miss out on all the swooping camera shots.
Well, I'm just. Can we just have the fucking primary today?
Right. Yeah.
Let's just get this over with.
Oh yeah. I mean, the first thing I thought when tuning into who's on these debates is we still have 20 candidates. Mm-hmm. We split them into 2 groups and nobody voted anyone out.
From what I read, the September ones are going to win where the field starts narrowing.
Yes, this show is not sustainable.
No,
we're going to have to start executing some people, figuratively speaking.
I believe the criteria is going to be you have to have donations from 130,000 people, and you have to be polling at least 2% in 4 different polls to make it into September.
And that's not, I would imagine that's on the low end, if not the lowest bar that's been set.
Yeah, as of today, only 7 people would make it.
Well, that's a relief then.
And it's pretty much the names you think it would be. It's Bernie, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Cory Booker. Crap, who are the other 3? Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
There's one more. It was 7 of them.
I still think Buttigieg is a smart candidate. I think he is a really smart. I think he's a really smart politician. I just don't think that he seems to have what it takes right now. Maybe he's a future candidate.
He seems like Indiana personified. Just like, Like if Indiana were a person, it's Pete Buttigieg.
Right. The kind of person that you forget what they look like if you're not looking directly at them.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good description.
He's nobody. He'd make a good spy, right? He's an everyman. No, I can't see him getting the nomination, but I'm kind of glad that he's still polling strong enough to actually make it. I'm still polling personally for Elizabeth Warren.
That's to be a tough putt, man. At least just because it's, when the New York Times says you're living in fantasy land, you might want to rein it in a little bit. Was the opinion piece I saw? It said it was her and Sanders were stranded on Fantasy Island.
Right. Well, I mean, this is part of what I like about both candidates, though. They are idea candidates. Sure, some of the stuff, maybe it's not going to be obtainable, but I think that's what you should run on. You should run on what your vision of government should be. Not how obtainable it is. And sure, we want to talk about things within reasonable limits. When they have plans that are clearly just ridiculous. But, perfect example is, I think this was right after the debate on Tuesday, and Chris Matthews was talking to Elizabeth Warren, and he was trying to get a direct answer out of her, and he felt like she was being evasive. He was asking her, okay, you're for this. You have this plan for universal health care. Nothing's free, so that has to be paid for by taxes. How much do our taxes go up as a result of this? And her response was, that's not the right question. It's how much are you saving?
No, I think it is the right question because it's going to, Uncle Joe said it last night. I mean, the reason I trust, for starters, I'm with him is let's stick back to 2016. We were talking about it. We're hiring someone for a job, right? This person in the field has kind of got the most experience. He brought up it would cost $30 trillion. You think that's not going to come out of? You think that's not coming out of our ass?
Right. Well, but it isn't about the cost, though. I mean, it is about the cost, right? It's about the cost of healthcare currently.
Then we're having the wrong. I was kind of. We weren't on the air when the ACA passed through, but we're having the wrong conversation again.
How so?
We're not asking these companies, why are you charging so much? We're not asking them why they're running. It's kind of like where I am with student debt. We're all locked into this. Oh, we need to forgive all the student debt. We're not going to the colleges and go, hey, why does your tuition go up 10% every year? Why does it cost so much?
That's why it needs to be total healthcare reform, whether you're for a single payer system or not. We need some sort of healthcare reform, total reform, because the current system allows the people who are setting the price to dictate all the terms.
Well, too, and I will agree with you there. We actually need healthcare reform, not insurance reform, which is what the ACA was.
Right.
But I think those questions should be asked. So how we're going to? Because just think about it. Think about your personal finances, right? If you're
right, but
would you work that way? I'll just make this grand purchase and figure it out later. No,
but it's not about. Well, it's not about figuring it out later, right? It's looking at how much are you currently paying for healthcare, and how much would your taxes go up if your healthcare was paid for by the government?
I get that,
and I don't know. Like, everybody's going to save in that respect. And it's not like this is an undoable thing. There are countries that have this system. One of them lives right above us. And I work with Canadians every fucking day. Nobody complains about, not being able to get proper health care.
Yeah, but you say this is something that can't be undone? You are correct. Kind of. Because think about
about what? I said that?
Yeah, you just said that.
That it can't. No, I said it's not like it's It's not something that can't be done.
Oh, I thought you said undone.
No. I was just pointing out that there are examples of this working, if we're talking about socialized medicine. But I think more generally, I don't like the idea of that as a gotcha question. She can't put a number on it. Well, yeah, of course, she doesn't even have the fucking job yet, right? It's like if you're asking a candidate for a position, you're hiring them, you're in charge of hiring for that position, and you say, okay, you seem to know your shit. How much are you going to increase my profits by if I hire you? How are they supposed to answer that question? They don't even work there yet.
No, but they could ask them, how would you? What kind of plan would you have?
Right. And that's a fair question. But to want like Chris Matthews wants a number out of her. Americans' taxes are going to go up by X percentage.
Yeah, that's silly for asking for a number. I'm just looking for. I'm more in the camp of just how. I don't want. I'm not looking for a number. I'm not looking for how much is coming out of my. Yeah, because you're right. Doesn't have the job yet. You got to get in there. You got to. I'm just interested in how. Do you have a plan? Bernie saying it needs to happen.
Bernie said flat out, we're going to have to raise taxes. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
But he also, if you go to his website, a lot of how he plans on paying for Medicare for All is dependent upon him getting some laws passed. Case in point, he wants to pass a law allowing us to import medication from Canada to the United States.
I mean, that's happening now that Trump just said he was going to do.
And then he also wants to put if you go to his website, he's got like the names that he would call these laws if he could get them passed. The thing is that this is a whole lot of, if we can get this done, then this, then this, then this, then we can do this. And it's like,
yeah, and I think that's why Bernie's popularity is starting to wane, because he is getting too mired in the details. And I think Elizabeth Warren has a perfect balance for me of somebody who has the big ideas and has an idea of how you accomplish these things, but refuses to be pinned down on the exact details of something that, hasn't been completely worked out yet.
One thing, though, I think
nobody goes into day one of presidency with this idea of this is our agenda. I mean, they know what they may feel like they have a mandate, and they know what they ran on. They know the promises that they made, but how you go about that, I guess they do start priming you once you're the actual, because we have a two-party system, both the non-incumbent candidate does get access to top secret information, gets briefings and whatnot, so they can slide into that. But that's usually more about, just national security issues, not about how we're going to handle healthcare.
I was reading an article a few days ago when they were interviewing one of Obama's campaign strategists. And I'm with him on this. He was specifically talking about her and Bernie, and he said they get too distracted by shiny objects. They need to get down to the quote unquote kitchen table issues. The stuff that everybody cares about, because that's how Obama won. And I feel like stuff like this, stuff like free college, those are the shiny objects.
Well, yeah. And speaking of Obama, I don't know how often his name came up in last night's debate.
I saw an article that said more time was spent last night bashing him than Trump, which blew my fucking mind.
Right. I think look, at this stage, I don't think they should be debating on who's the stronger candidate to beat Trump. This is their job, to fight it out amongst each other and see who the strongest candidate is going to be. They shouldn't be talking about Trump. But the idea that, I know that everybody's trying to dogpile on Joe Biden because he's the leader of the pack at the moment, but to attack Obama's record at the same time, and I'm not saying this like, oh my God, Obama was a saint, how could you? I can be as critical of Obama as the next rational person is. No candidate gets everything exactly right, but that is not a strong strategy. The last time the Democrats had a 2-term president and you're going to attack them and think that's going to gain you popularity with whom?
How is attacking your own camp supposed to be successful?
Yeah, there is a difference between fighting amongst yourselves to prove who's the strongest candidate with the best policies. That's what the debate is. But putting Obama on blast is not helping anybody's cause.
No.
Although I guess he didn't speak publicly about it, but sources say that he was nonplussed by the whole affair. He just brushed his shoulder a little bit.
Yeah. Well, why would he give a fuck?
Yeah,
he's not running for anything.
Right. He put down his Mai Tai and lifted his sunglasses for a second while he was on his yacht. And
exhaled his weed, exhaled the weed smoke.
Right. He's like, they said, what? Okay.
Come over here again and come over here, Michelle, and blow me again.
The problem.
Don't say that shit to my face after you serve 2 terms.
Yeah.
The problem I see with how Bernie is going about things with, we're going to universal health care, free college. You're promising too much at once. Pick one thing. Okay. I don't care if that man lived to be 150 and he could serve in 4 terms in a row as president. He's not going to pass universal health care, free college, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, while he's president. We're going to have to tackle one thing at a time. Now, what's more important? And I think to a lot of people, I understand young people are upset because they're getting hosed with their student loans, but there's a lot more aging and people getting sick in this country than there are people worried about how they're going to pay back their student fucking loans at this point in time. That's probably the thing to focus on. And what was never said by any of the candidates that I heard was, when people bring up, well, it works in these other countries. Yeah, but we subsidize these other countries' military with our military. We are the UN's military, essentially. How much money do we put into national defense? By the way, AKA world defense. These other countries don't have that tax burden when it comes to that part of their budget. So
that is a good point. Yeah, so these socialized countries, like Sweden and whatnot, I mean, their national defense is we live nowhere and nobody wants our land, and that's our defense.
So I mean, that wasn't brought up because that seems like a political third rail, because if you say anything about cutting military funding, Republicans are going to jump on it as you don't support the troops. Look, you want to cut funding for the troops. No, I don't want a fucking invasion force at the ready. I want a military that's here to defend us, but you can't, you know how it's going to get spun. And it's just like, I'm hearing all these ideas and I'm like, I don't hear any realistic way of going about doing it. And, even I like a lot of Bernie's ideas, but he seems like he's throwing everything at the wall at once. And it's like, it's not how shit's going to work. I mean, just because you get elected president doesn't mean that you are going to declare something, bang a gavel, and boom, it's going to happen. Trump's found that out. How much shit is he had go to court because they're like, no, you're not doing this. Period. End of story.
I'll bring it up.
Well, I think
Bernie's got to live to the election. Can I bring that up? Isn't he pushing 80?
Well, that is like,
he's 4 years older than the last time he ran, or 3 years older.
There's a lot of older people running, and it's like, who are we going to have as vice president? I'm starting to wonder here, because don't be ageist. Okay, but if we elect an 80-year-old person, I think it's not offensive to go, who's going to be there in case something happens to this old motherfucker?
Yeah, Bernie's birthday is September 8th. So that means when the election happens, he'll be 79 years old. He's 77 right now. I mean, Trump was, 73 or was 71 when he got elected? He was the oldest person to ever get elected president? God.
Well,
Uncle Joe's 76.
Here's the thing. honestly, I would think that Bernie would probably outlive Trump, but I'm starting to believe that heaven don't want him, and hell's like, I don't want him either. So he's gonna live forever. I don't know. Trump maybe lived to like 90, 95. Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Jesus Christ, Pelosi's 79 years old.
You know, I will say this. I don't have a candidate that's like, wow, that person is really pulling away from the pack. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I do like some of what Kamala Harris had to say. I like the fact that she basically said she's not there to, I'm going to butcher the quote, so I'm going to have to paraphrase here, to basically, tear the world up, tear it down and rebuild it. She's like, I want to fix things. She actually said something that made her come off as Chris, as you pointed out, being pragmatic is the kiss of death to some people. But she did come off as pragmatic in an NPR interview that was aired before the debate started last night. And I was like, she's not this radical that I've heard her painted out to be by the right. But also the problem is that the lunatic fringe on the left seem to be looking for some sort of messianic character to hold up who's above reproach, and that's no one, because they're attacking her because, well, she was a federal prosecutor. She prosecuted people for smoking weed.
Yeah.
What the fuck was she supposed to do?
I got to admit, Rich, that gets under my skin a little bit. If Kamala Harris ends up being the candidate, of course, I'm not going to vote for Trump over her, but I won't feel good about it. At least the way I feel right now. Who knows when the election comes around? And maybe I'm a bit prejudiced because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, reading stories about our criminal justice system, the police force, and primarily there's one story I'd actually highly recommend. I don't think it wasn't last week's On the Media, it was the week before. And it was all about prosecutors. And it was basically telling the story about how much power prosecutors have in making the decision over who goes to jail or not.
Oh, did you hear Adam Carolla today? And he's interviewing Danny Trejo?
Yeah.
Danny Trejo went off. He's like, the judges don't have any power. It's all in the DA's hands.
Yep. That's absolutely right. Yeah, Danny Trejo said it too. And couple that with the idea that we are locking up just millions of nonviolent criminals. I mean, we don't have to go through the stats. We know that we have the highest percentage of incarcerated people per capita than any other nation. And I just don't know. I just don't feel right electing a person like that to leadership. But, not saying that, she's representative of every prosecutor, but I'm just telling you, it does really stick in my craw.
Did you see how she got owned by Tulsi Gabbard last night?
Yeah, I forget. Do you remember the exact comment that she made, or what was it about?
Well, she was talking about, what Rich said, how she, she put, people in prison for smoking weed, but she was talking about, too, how she withheld evidence that could have set innocent people free.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, my God. I'm Aaron, I'm not making this up. I'm going to read this tweet because I'm sure you saw some of the reaction on Twitter last night.
Oh, yeah.
Beware the Russian bots and their promotion of Tulsi Gabbard and sowing racial discord, especially around Kamala Harris.
Racial discord, really?
And I saw another tweet last night. The tweet was the guy was like, all right, here's a Google map of the most searched candidates before the debate, and it was, the map was all kinds of colors. And then here's the map after the debate, and it was all the color of Tulsi Gabbard. And he had something in there about a foreign power. I'm like, really? Could she just not have answered the question well? Everything's just got to be a conspiracy now.
Right. I mean, a lot of people were Googling who is Tulsi Gabbard. That's what was going on. Though.
But yeah,
oh shit! Somebody dumped on Camilla.
She's a tool of the Russian bots to make Camilla or whatever to make look bad. Okay.
Well, she's not going to survive to the next rounds anyway. So what does it matter? I think she seems really smart.
Dude,
she doesn't have
She's not white. She's got that going for her.
She doesn't have a chance of being president right now, but maybe in the future. I think that
she's not white. She's not a woman. Or she's a woman, so she's got that going for her.
Yeah.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
At DBS, you can study in the heart of Dublin city centre. Choose from over 40 CAO programmes in business, computing, psychology, social care and law. Programmes designed to help you create your future. Realise your ambitions. Apply now at dbs.ie.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies. After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
The Jaguar I-Pace is setting the pace for electric vehicles. Winner of the 2019 World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year. To celebrate this treble win, we're offering €3,000 off all Jaguar models, plus a free 3-year service plan. Set the pace. Book your test drive today at Conlon's Jaguar Nace. Offer available until the 31st of August.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Okay, can I talk about why I'm out on Cory Booker? It has nothing to do with the stuff he said last night.
Can you put a pin in that for a second, though? Because there's something that I wanted to bring up that ties directly into what you were saying about the Google search results. And certainly this, these debates had an impact. That's undoubtable. I read many stories about them. A lot of people had opinions about many different things that were said in both debates, but I don't see any evidence of it actually moving the numbers. I mean, I know it hasn't been that long, but
it'll probably be like the last debates, right? Somebody's numbers will move for a couple days, and then the field will go back pretty much with Uncle Joe in the lead.
Right. I mean, after what I had read on Twitter about Joe Biden, if that's all that I had read about the debate, I would expect to see Joe Biden's numbers plummet.
Well, after with the stuff that was written after the first debate, you'd expect that he'd have dropped out of the race, and Kamala Harris would be the leader of the pack.
Yeah. I mean, between the two debates, somebody clearly told him he's got to sack up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he was in Detroit today. And a reporter asked him, like, hey, you initially said you weren't going to attack your fellow Democrats, but last night that seemed to change. What happened? And he said, I just answered the questions.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. That was like that moment. It's like, all right, man, I'm in on you, Joe. Just don't get too nutty on me.
Well, it really does. It seems to me that unless there's some sort of, scandal that hasn't breaks about Biden, it's pretty much his to lose at this point.
Because I've come to terms with the fact I have to vote for one of these people. I'm not voting for Trump. At this point, right. Biden would be the one I'd be the most comfortable voting for. Maybe that Delaney guy, if I hear more from him, but he probably won't make it to the next round, quite honestly.
Yeah, he's not even polling at 1%. He's a sub 1%.
It's another guy who dared to have a little pragmatism and got jumped off. He was the guy that Warren said, why would you run for president and talk about things you can't do? I think, my response was like, he's probably being the most realistic out of the 10 of you.
And he's polling so much stronger and more consistent than anyone else. I mean, unless there is some dark horse candidate, which happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's happened a lot in recent history. Trump and Obama both being amongst those. It's probably is going to be Biden, right?
I hope to God it's Biden. Please be Biden.
I'm still hoping that Al Franken decides to jump in the race.
Yeah, it's because I forget which podcast it was on, but they had somebody on there, and it was another strategist, and pretty much said the way you beat Trump is you find the most competent candidate you can, and then just let him undo himself with the debates.
Yeah,
but I don't think the Democrats are going to do that.
The problem
they're going to try to answer crazy with crazy.
The problem I keep seeing from the Democrats is they got this Goldilocks mentality. They want everything just perfect with the candidate, and there's no, like I said, there's no perfect candidate. And I really think I'm kind of worried what's going to happen is it's going to turn in 2016 all over again. People they will never vote for Trump, but they won't vote for Biden, so they'll vote for a third party. Or they just will stay home and not vote, period. And we all know what happens when less people vote. That always favors the Republicans.
Yeah, I understand what you're getting at, Rich. I guess I see it another way, though. There's so much criticism of every candidate, Like I was saying earlier, if I just believe Twitter, Joe Biden doesn't have a chance in hell. But clearly he's polling the strongest and most consistently. And I think that it's more about the constant criticism and tearing down of other candidates has a lot to do with the idea that everyone feels like they have something personally invested in this. And everyone feels that their candidate is going to be the one that can beat Trump.
Well, the unfortunate way that our system is set up, it might not be your guy, and you might have to, I'm using a dirty word here, compromise.
Yeah. And nobody likes compromise, but there's these people will give up their ideals to get Trump out of office.
Well, I hope so.
It's going to come to what's more worth it to you.
I talked to a few people that it's like, no, I won't vote for Biden. I won't vote for Warren. I won't vote. And I'm like, well, then who do you want to vote? Who do you want to vote for? Who is it that you really support? And the scary part is there's really no answer. And I think that what are you looking for then?
And I'm telling you, who knows? Maybe this person, these people that you describe, will sit out the election. But I think it's going to take somebody gaffing and throwing the election away like Hillary did. And I think that's the real question you have to ask is, who amongst these candidates is most likely to pull a Hillary? All she had to do is act right and act like a politician, and she swaggered too much and got cocky.
Well, remember the Saturday Night Live skits about the debates? Mm-hmm. Where, Alec Baldwin would do Trump, and then they cut to what's-her-face doing Hillary, and she'd go, I've got this wrapped up. I don't even need to say anything. I mean, that was
the attitude. Yeah.
That was straight up the attitude of pretty much everybody. It was like, unless you were a hardcore Trump supporter, and that's why election night, you saw a bunch of people looking like they just, got surprise butt sex.
I don't want to lose you here, Aaron, but she started celebrating before she got into the end zone. Yeah.
She looked at it like she was Scarlett Johansson going into an audition. Like, yeah, I know you're looking at other girls, but none of them are Scarlett Johansson.
And they were like,
that's just a formality.
And then they went, oh yeah, have you seen Margot Robbie?
Yeah, that's probably a better example. Huh?
Well, and the other thing is, I wholeheartedly agree with Bill Maher. The Twitter woke crowd can just go fuck themselves. I don't give a fuck what they got to say. I'm very sick and tired of, as far as the population of this fucking country, a drop in the bucket getting upset on Twitter and getting something trending, and we're being reported, the internet is outraged. No, literally thousands of people are outraged. No one gives a shit about them except for you, and you're just fucking stirring the pot because it's going to get clicks and asses in front of your news program. I mean, who gives a fuck what these idiots say? Nothing is ever good enough for them, so fuck them. Fuck them where they live. I don't care. I'm tired of it. Nothing's going to be perfect, and everyone has to. At some point in your life, you have to understand that. And if you don't, then I'm sorry, you never grow up. Life's going to be rough for you in a lot of ways. I don't know any other way to put it to you.
Hey, by the way,
look, but you got to look at it like if these people had actual influence, then Joe Biden wouldn't be polling as strong as he did.
Exactly.
Ironically, too, last night on Twitter, Bill was on fire. I don't know if you're seeing any of his tweets.
Oh, no, I missed it.
Oh, my favorite.
For some reason, I saw all of Tommy Lahren tweets and none of Bill Maher's. My Twitter's broken.
I mean, my favorite one is, for a party whose biggest star, savior, and hero was Obama, they sure were quick to dump Obamacare.
Yep.
Nobody spoke in Spanish yet? What kind of democratic debate is this?
Well, Rich, were there any specific issues that got the quote-unquote woke crowd on social media fired up, or was it more about the things that weren't addressed?
Wasn't it the Biden with his attacking working women thing? They tried to get upset about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I keep seeing over and over again, and it's probably just because of how my social media is set up, because I have a lot of 420 friendly people on there, is just the Kamala Harris thing. It's these people are hypocrites, et cetera, and it's of course, when someone speaks up, look, she was a prosecutor, she was doing her job, and of course someone says, yeah, I heard a lot of that at Nuremberg, and I'm like, okay, all right, you know what?
Oh boy,
look, you can't enforce the laws you'd want to enforce, and yeah, look, I don't know all the details, and a lot of the claims that I'm seeing, there's no sources to back them up. It's just people, posting shit, and I'm like, what? I can't find anything concrete backing up their claims, such as she was hiding evidence and railroaded people and all this. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have specific examples? Because if you do, I will listen to them, and yeah, they probably make me go, yeah, fuck this bitch.
Right, but how does a prosecutor hide evidence? Prosecutors don't actually do the investigation. They can not bring up certain evidence.
I was gonna say, you don't hide it, you suppress it. It just never materializes.
Right. You can argue that it's immaterial to the case, and if the judge sees it your way, then it won't be talked about. It won't be shown to a jury or anything like that. I mean, if that's what if they're actually accusing her of colluding with the police department or something to destroy evidence, that would be a totally different thing. But I haven't seen any such claim. That would be a major scandal.
No, a lot of these are, like I said, very vague accusations thrown her way by people who obviously have a bone to pick with her because she prosecutes people on drug crimes.
I agree that Kamala Harris was just doing her job. I just don't agree with her job. And
there was something that was cited. Aaron and I talked about it on the Weedsman. They were talked about how she laughed about smoking weed in college, but then she's put all of these low-level marijuana offenders in jail.
Yes,
we did do a story on that when she was asked about it.
That's another thing that sticks in my craw, and it's not just about the weed thing. It's about the general the prosecutors' disregard for humans.
That's the one thing that the accusation that was leveled at her that I actually, with a very quick Google search, I saw that it was an interview with Sway, I believe, on some satellite radio station, where she was sitting there talking about smoking weed.
Yeah, and the biggest crime is she said she was listening to Snoop and Tupac while she was smoking weed.
Right.
1989?
Right.
Wait. So
you listen to Snoop or Tupac? You listen to Sex Packets?
That's what I was about to say. You got some Digital Underground?
And I'd say 1989, Snoop was like 12.
Yeah.
It's 187 on it.
On the motherfucking lunch lady.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh, God. So, yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I don't know. There's really no one, like I said, that I'm just like, wow, I'm really pulling for. I mean, I guess if I could make the deciding vote, I probably like Yang the best, but let's be honest, he's not even polling at 2%. No. You know, I mean, he's so.
Hey, he pleased the moderators last night. He put on a tie.
Well, as long as he doesn't come out in a earth tone suit, he's looking presidential, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I noticed about last night's debate was actually the moderators, and what a weird and shitty job they were doing.
It seems like they were there to antagonize. Like another tweet Bill Maher had, he said, "Seems like CNN knows where their bread is buttered. Get Biden and Kamala fighting."
Right. They would they'd have a question, a candidate would respond, and then they'd go to another candidate to reply do you have a retort or what do you have to say about this? But it didn't seem to have any structure to it. They weren't asking a specific candidate because that was an issue that they had talked about before.
Like put this.
It was just random. It was like as if Joe Biden was going on a rant about taxing people with big dicks, and they went, "Andrew Yang, do you have a response?"
Yeah, it's exactly.
Like, why me?
Cory Booker's like, I got a lot to say about that.
At one point, I was expecting to go, Senator, she talked about your mother. What do you think about that?
Right. That's what it seemed like. The kid that was in school that was always stirring trouble, right? He'd go and talk to him. Oh, so-and-so said that you're not shit and that he'd kick your ass. Oh, you tell him I said this. And then he runs back to the other guy. Next thing you know, you got to fight after school.
Hey, Biden, Cory was talking shit.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I will say is listening to it instead of watching it. I felt really old during the introductions because it seemed like they were introduced. Like I was waiting to hear the final countdown start, and for like, I'm picturing the candidates running out, like slapping.
My God! Yeah, I watched the
smoke machines.
I watched the intro to last night. It was tonight. Like it was like they were talking about Joe Biden, like he had to, I don't know, what are they doing for it? They'd have to retain the belt or something.
Yeah, like Vince McMahon is going to come out.
Right. Like, is this tonight like somebody throws a folding chair? What?
Well, you know what they said in the Boondocks? The minute someone throws a chair, shit pops off.
Yeah. Cory Booker's going to go through a folding table.
There you go. They have a table ladder chair match.
Standing 6 foot out of Syracuse University, it's Joe Biden.
Chris,
got his own entrance music.
You brought up Booker a while back, and I asked you to put a pin in it. Did we get back to your thoughts on Booker? Because you're saying what you liked about him.
No, I said I'm out.
Oh, you're out.
One comment he made.
What did he say?
I don't know if it's supposed to be tongue in cheek. If it was, you failed, sir. He said that if Obama was running for a third term, he wouldn't be running. I just kind of put my head in my hands like, dude, you were part of our lawmaking body. There are term limits. You don't get to run for a third term.
No.
If that was a joke, it fell flat with me.
I think what he was trying to say was that he understands that Obama is a strong candidate and maybe even stronger than he. And there would be no point in him running if he was up there debating on stage with Barack Obama.
And I get that, but it comes off as you're maybe perhaps ignorant of the process.
Well, I think it's a common thing. Well, it's in Get Out. Remember I don't know if you've seen the movie. If you haven't, I'd highly recommend it, honestly. But the dad wants to impress his daughter's black boyfriend, and so he talks up about how he voted for Obama twice, and he would have voted for him a third time if he could. And I think that type of phrasing or talking about a candidate in that way has been fairly common in our history, at least our history since we've instituted term limits. I think it's only now that we have a president who might actually, we feel, has a reasonable chance of not adhering to term limits that we're more touchy on the subject.
I too, it just kind of dawned on me too. Guys, we're old. The age group behind us loves hyperbole. There could be a little dash of that going on too.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Listening to it, like the crowd cheering and like whooping it up. I'm just like, is this a political debate or is this a fucking concert?
That's the main reason why I don't like to watch them live and prefer to, absorb the information through other sources because I cannot take the crowd.
Yeah, I like I said, I felt very old listening to it because I was like, this is not a One Direction concert, and it sounded like it at the beginning with the way the crowd was acting, and I'm like, are you serious right now?
What was with the protesters?
They were for De Blasio. They're Eric Garner related.
Okay, because I couldn't make out what they were saying. You said they were saying, Chris, when I messaged you saying there's protesters, but I couldn't make them out on like I said, the crystal clear AM station I was listening on. You said they were saying I can't breathe and
Fire Pantaleo, whatever that guy's name is.
Police chief or something like that.
What did Joe Pantaleo do? He's a great
Joey
Pants. Joey Pants. Yeah, come on, man.
First, she was a whore.
Look, I understand. He was the bad guy in what was the
Memento.
tattoo movie? Memento. Yeah.
I believe he is the gentleman that cleared the officer who killed Eric Garner of any criminal wrongdoing.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I like I said, you really couldn't hear it on the radio, and the minute De Blasio stopped talking, an announcer came over and was like, there appear to be protesters. They're clearing them out right now. Please, have patience and blah, 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 blah. And he just kept talking. And I'm like, you're talking over the protesters. I don't even know what they're protesting because you won't shut up. You're just talking about the protesters. But I should have figured something like that. For a split second, I was like, is this Trump supporters that they got in there? And then I'm like, no, that doesn't seem like that type of thing. Because this was, remember on Bill Maher when the 9/11 truthers started yelling from the audience years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one where he charged off the stage and was getting ready to throw him
out of here? Yeah.
He finally got frustrated and just charged into the crowd, and he was ready to grab somebody by the scruff of their neck. And I think security finally stepped in and they're like, oh shit. If we Bill Maher get a shiner, that's my job.
Hey, by the way, Daniel Pantaleo is the officer who killed Eric Garner.
Okay.
And De Blasio has declined to fire him, saying that it's up to the police commissioner to do so. So yeah, that was all De Blasio related.
Yeah, well then fire the police commissioner.
Right.
Well, yeah. So I did last night's pretty much wipe Tuesday's debate from everyone's memory, by the way.
Pretty much.
It seems like it, yeah.
Because I did a search, Democratic debate Detroit, and it was probably 10-1 articles about last night versus both nights or the previous night by itself. So I kind of feel like this was that was the opening act.
Well, because all they did last night was fight with each other.
Yeah.
That was the rub. Is all it was attack fest last night.
Well, it didn't help that Biden kind of took some shots in his first debate, and between the first and second debate, they asked him, what's your plan? And he said, I'm not going to be as nice this debate if the same thing happens. So it was kind of really? Are you hyping up?
Wasn't.
Are you guys going to get down to your underwear and do a weigh-in before you get up to there and have your debate? It felt like it was a lead up to a pay-per-view boxing special or something. The whole thing. See, that is what leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I understand that a lot of people look at politics as entertainment, whether they want to admit it or not. But I am not comfortable with my politics being more entertainment than the business of, doing what's best for the people who hired you, AKA the people who voted you in office. So once again, I'm old though. So I don't want to rock star.
You don't count anymore.
Yeah, I know. I told my brother this. I'm like, you're turning 28 this year. Enjoy the next 12 years because then you're irrelevant for the rest of your life at 40.
Hell, maybe even enjoy the next two. The way shit's going. Yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty damn close of back to, don't trust anyone over 30.
Well, if that's the case, he's going to be really upset because
he wasn't happy.
He wasn't happy with the idea of being irrelevant at 40, let alone 30. I can tell you that.
And if not at 30, it's definitely going to start at 35. That's what seemed to start with me. I don't know. A lot of times I feel like, whatever, we're getting old, but I keep hearing people our age going, I feel like the oldest 40-year-old. Like, just there has been some kind of sea change.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. Change is happening at such an accelerated pace compared to when we were young. I mean, even if you look at like, the late 60s, early 70s, change wasn't happening at the pace it's happening now.
The last year or so, there's been moments where like, did I blink and I'm 60? What's going on?
Oh, I did want to say this about the debate. This is something that I kept noticing is when the candidates would attack each other, they would go, well, 20 years ago, you weren't for this. Now you are. Which is it? And I'm like, are we back to this? Are we back to... So no one can ever change their mind. No one can ever get new information, rethink, and reevaluate their position, and change their mind.
Hey, you guys want to see the tape from 2004? That doesn't end well for you if you start going down that road.
Yeah, wasn't Obama against same-sex marriage at one point?
Mm-hmm.
So, your Messiah was allowed to change his mind. Why can't any other candidate? I don't understand. Like, this goes back to, you're looking for Jesus. You're not looking for a fucking candidate to vote for. You're looking for a perfect person, and none exist.
Are flawed. We all have flaws. Barry's got some flaws. He's just got a really good PR team. We all have flaws. Shit, Bill Clinton's was out in the open. Everyone knows Bill Clinton's flaw.
He couldn't find a chick to swallow. That was the problem. If she'd have just fucking took a shot in the jaw and just gulped it down, think of all the bullshit we'd have been saved.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium, or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs, and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium, or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs, and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
Well, I know one person who's probably thankful that everyone's talking about the debates right now, and that's Mario Lopez.
AC Slater.
Okay, you guys have to explain this to me because I have the gist of it, but I don't know exactly what happened.
I actually have the quote from Candace Owens' show. So let's just start with that. He says, well, let me put some context. So Candace Owens starts talking about, weird Hollywood people and trends, and she points out that something that Charlize Theron had done recently, say that, her 3-year-old child came to her and said that she's, I can't even remember if it was.
She said, I'm a boy.
All right. So she's born female and claims that she's a boy, right?
At 3.
At 3.
3 years old, a year when you're into, that whole talking thing.
Yeah. So this is what he has to say about it. I'm trying to understand it myself, and please don't lump me in with that whole group. I'm kind of blown away too. Look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously, and I think if you came from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, I got it. If you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl or whatever the case may be, I think it's dangerous as a parent to make this determination then, well, okay, then you're going, maybe I don't know if you misspoke or if they just didn't transcribe it right, but then you're going to be a boy or a girl, I think is what they're saying. Whatever the case may be. It's sort of alarming, and my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on. So that's what he said that got him in so much trouble. What exactly did he say that's wrong there?
Well, first of all, I told you guys in pre-show chat, I think half of the problem is where he said it.
Well,
I said it too.
I think, just the fact that he's kind of known as a conservative, I guess as much as he's known for anything these days. And there's a reason why he's on Candace Owens' show. He wasn't there to be a convert. I don't think anybody is. I think she has people on her show that are going to agree with her. And that's fine if that's the show you want to do. Never have a real conversation. But, what they're talking about in this case, just because it's two conservatives talking doesn't mean that they are automatically wrong on this issue.
No.
I think that's part of the problem is people's preconceived notions of where these people stand. They're not talking about somebody coming out as like a teenager and wanting to identify and be acknowledged as a certain thing. That's that's a different issue.
Yeah, he's talking about a 3-year-old. You're 2 years into the walking thing. You're like I said, you're a year into mastering this whole talking thing. But we're gonna let you decide. Yeah, I think I'm a transgender. No, like the first thing I thought of when Charlize Theron was like, my 3-year-old looked at me and said, I'm a boy. I looked right back at her and said, you're 3. Let's come back to this in a few years. You're 3.
Well, right. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a garbage man when I grew up. And nobody sat me down and said, listen, you don't really want to be a garbage man. They don't get paid well. You're going to stink. It's not what you should be shooting for. They said, he's just a kid. He's going to grow out of it. And I'm not saying that everybody, that this is, being transgender or identifying with a certain, sexual identity or whatever you want to call it. Not to say that these are all things that people just grow out of or that they should grow out of it. It's just that we're talking about somebody who's prepubescent, right?
Dude, we're talking about someone who's a toddler.
And you shouldn't, well, right, we're talking specifically about somebody who's a toddler, but I would apply the same standard to, I'm not going to like throw out a number and say, oh, there's an age cutoff where you have to start believing them. And it's not about believing them or not, right? It's not a black or white thing where you go, well, if you're not going to accept this, then you're doing what? You're going to be the dad who goes, oh, you're not going to be a boy. You're going to be a girl. And here's some Barbies. And here's a pink bicycle. And try and force that these gender that they, it's on their birth certificate upon them. It's just accept it and move on, right? But to then go, oh, I have to acknowledge this fully, participate in it fully, and basically understand that my toddler or preteen is going to be setting the terms here for whatever reason.
Yeah, if a 3-year-old walked up to you and said, I'm going to kill myself because I'm suicidal, the first thing you would think was,
what have you been watching?
Yeah. Do you even understand what suicide is? Do you understand the concept of death?
Who told you that? Because again, 3-year-old, you're a repeater.
Yes.
Kids are mimics.
That's all you're doing.
But because this is an issue to where we've attached the term, transphobe to anyone who dares to question anything about any of this, parents will be like, oh, well, then my 3-year-old's transgendered. No. The kid don't know what the fuck it's talking about.
Yeah, it's. I think another part of this conversation is this is taking the whole youth culture worship to a dangerous new place. You start letting little kids call the shots, and we're fucked if that's going to be the case. And hell, we're letting 19-year-olds call the shots. I mean, we're heading in that direction, right?
Well, it's interesting that there's a little bit of a. Well, it's not a little bit. That was interesting. There's a pushback in the transgender community towards what they call trend genders. These people who, it's trendy to be like, I'm trans. Yet they declare it, but there's nothing real behind it. It's because they think it's a cool thing to be. And they're like, essentially you're putting on a front. You're putting on a show. How is it any different than dressing up in blackface going, I identify with black people so much?
It's virtue signaling personified.
There's a lot of
for people who are how do you differentiate between somebody who's honestly transgendered and somebody who's trend-gendered? I mean, it's like saying,
I would imagine,
oh, that guy's not a real Nirvana fan. He's just a poser. Okay.
Well, that's real easy. Hey, nice Nirvana shirt. Name me a song that isn't on the radio all the time. Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm not saying I'm the one to make that judgment call, but I think someone who is transgendered, who's went through all the confusion and bullshit that comes with it, would probably be in a better place to talk to them and be like, you're not transgendered, you're just wanting to be cool and think this is a way to fit in. And yeah, I'd understand it if they get upset, because it's like, look,
I guess it really depends on where you live, but there's not a whole lot of places where that's just like, oh, I want to fit in.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I mean, because we're not talking about going out into the real world.
You want to be noticed, and you want to be noticed as somebody who has, a plight of some sort. There's a lot of I can understand why somebody might do this, but I don't see how it makes a difference to anyone else one way or another. I can understand why somebody who maybe they don't actually identify as transgender, but they go, oh, well, if I tell people that I am, there's all this drama that comes pre-built into it and all this sympathy. And, I get a lot of people that follow me online going, way to go.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's where they're looking for
the
lion's share of acceptance.
I understand that.
Walking out the front door, but
what's the difference?
Ask them. Why do they care what a bunch of strangers fucking say on their social media?
Any of us care. I mean,
that's why my shit's private. If I don't know you, you ain't seeing my shit. I don't care what you got to say if I don't know you. I mean, why put your shit out there in the first place? I mean, I don't look, man. I'm not saying I understand completely where this anger is coming from on the trans people that are going, yeah, these transsexuals or trendgenders or whatever I think it's trendgenders is what they're mockingly called. I can understand it. Same thing with who was the female version of Soul Man? Rachel
Dolezal.
Dolezal, yeah. I saw a lot of black people online and talked to them in person, and they're like, "Oh, that bitch. Are you serious?" You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, "Man, fuck that bitch." You go sit there and go, like, "Oh, the struggle you've been through. You chose to act like you're something you're not. I was born this way. I can't fucking just stop it any day. You can. Fuck you." Like, I understand that type of anger, and I'm like, yeah, I can. It would get tiresome. It really would, because it's trivializing something that people have no choice but to go through.
Yes, it's minimalizing it to be cool.
So anyways, Mario Lopez canceled. I mean, what was he doing anyways?
I think he's hosted the show Extra for like the last 20 years, actually.
Didn't he
still
marry
on Extra?
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't he marry like oh shit, what's her name? Maria Nunez or something like that?
Oh, did he?
That's that. I just if it's the woman I'm thinking of, his biggest accomplishment post Saved by the Bell, if you can call Saved by the Bell an accomplishment.
He's married to someone named Courtney Lane Massa.
No, then it's not who I'm thinking of. I was going to say he married a really hot chick, but no. Well, I'm sure I take it back. She's probably hot. She's probably hot. It is Mario Lopez. Let's be honest.
Yeah, this chick is not exactly ugly.
she's not climbing up.
As of today,
ringing clock towers in Notre Dame.
No.
Yeah, but I guess Mario Lopez was not on today's extra, so I don't know if that means anything or if they're just giving him a chance to cool off.
Of course, he has apologized.
Yes, I was going to say he's also apologized, saying the comments I made were ignorant and insensitive, and now I have a deeper understanding of how hurtful they were.
I hate when people do that. That apology is to keep your job. You don't mean any of that. Like, can someone just not apologize? Can someone just go, yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Trump. That's Trump. Never apologize.
No, I'm talking about, like.
Can somebody who's right?
Yeah. Somebody who's right not apologize.
No, not if you offend somebody, because then you're just being even more insensitive by doubling down.
Well, now we're back to Rich's thing where we're looking for perfect people that don't exist. At some point, somebody's going to say something that's going to offend somebody.
You know what I really want? I really want some badass hacker to just release everyone's fucking search history, everything they've ever done online, all the little shit they hide in the corners and they try to keep from fucking polite society. That way we can all look at each other and go, wow, we're all really fucked up, aren't we? Now, can we move the fuck on?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just tired of this shit.
But yeah, Charlize Theron, I don't know what her response. Her having a positive response to her 3-year-old, that's fine. Like I said, accept it. It just depends on what do you do from there, right? If she goes out and throws out all the girl clothes and buys all boy clothes, I got an issue with that.
She has. I mean, this kid is now 7. She's been raising him as a boy for the last 4 years.
Oh, well, there you go. So I do have a problem with that.
Yes.
But this is like, your 3-year-old telling you that they're going to be an actor when they grow up, and you go, okay, well, I get to drain your college fund then, right? Because you're 3, you made the decision, so that's what you're going to be.
No college for you. Daddy's getting a new boat.
Yeah.
I'm not down with letting kids call the shots. Kids are idiots. I was a kid once. I was an idiot. There's a reason you have to have a guardian until you're 18. You would do stupid shit. Probably get yourself killed.
Oh.
Well, again, I blame Whitney Houston.
Oh, with their profound statement. I believe that children are the future. Really, this is something that you believe? Or is this just a fact of nature because we're all going to die and the only people left are going to be the younger ones who just haven't died yet? Right?
Yeah,
so
well, she also
de facto the future.
She also didn't do crack because crack is whack.
Oh, it's two separate podcasts I listened to. Both hosts have gone on the same rant. Everyone's all, the children. What about the fucking adults? All right? How about the people who are paying taxes, holding up society? What about those people? Fuck the children.
Adults are the middle class of society. Everyone's worried about the rich paying not paying their fair share and the poor, sucking off the teat of society. Meanwhile, the middle class is propping everybody's ass up. The adults are just there. Just shut up and do your job. Make sure the fucking trains run on time. Make sure the fucking internet is there when I connect to Wi-Fi. That way I can get on Twitter and bitch about shit. That's all there is to it. I mean, it is child. It's beyond child worship. We've like fetishized children, and it's like whatever, man. Jesus Christ. Just remember, folks, anal is green. So's abortion. If you want to save the planet, kill a baby.
That's Rich's hot take for the day.
Coat hangers are cheaper than college.
Yeah. Rich says kill a baby. I say fuck the children. This is a family-friendly episode, everybody.
Yeah, but hold on a sec.
Wait, yeah.
Don't literally.
I heard it. I heard it.
There's too much of that going on, too.
Yeah. I didn't mean in a Michael Jackson way or an R. Kelly way.
That's how much we love the children. We're starting to literally love the children.
I meant like a George Carlin way, not like a Michael Jackson way.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
At DBS, you can study in Dublin City Centre or online. Choose from over 100 industry-led programmes. Programmes designed to fit your life now and help you create your future. Realise your ambitions. Apply for a full or part-time course today at dbs.ie.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
Well, what else? There was the Katy Perry story about her and her songwriting team getting collectively sued for ripping off a Christian rap song or a Christian rap song. I want to put just Christian rock on the end of every Christian song.
I just want to say real quick, I agree with Hank Hill. To all contemporary Christian artists, you're not making Jesus cool. You're making music suck. Stop. Okay, continue.
Well, that's probably why they figured they could get away with it, right? Like, I ripped out this cool song. Well, you can't do that. It was a Christian rock song. Oh, that's right. Nobody will ever hear it.
Yeah, I heard him that to me the synth line is what did it. The what you call them, the stabs.
Yeah, that part. So maybe I must have heard the wrong part of the song. I'm gonna have to listen to the one that they ripped off again.
They're in different octaves, but it's note for note, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I trust you on that because you know notes.
But it's. But the other part too that always comes up, because I'm a musician, we're musicians, is there are a finite amount of chord progressions, there are a finite amount of rhythmic patterns. But again, like you hear it, I was kind of like, I can hear it. You know, it's kind of like, what was it? The Sam Smith? What was that guy? The guy who ripped off "I Won't Back Down."
Right.
Like when I heard that, I was like, how can you like? He said he had never heard that song before. I was like, nobody in the studio at any point went, hey, you ever heard this song by Tom Petty? Because this sounds exactly like it.
When he said he'd never heard the song, I was like,
fine. How about your engineer, your producer?
Is this your attempt at like some sort of pop singer, like hipster cred? Like, I would never listen to Tom Petty. Oh, of course. Why would I rip him off? I don't even know who he is. It's like, come on, dude. Even by accident, you've heard the fucking song. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on the idea that there's only so many different, rhythms and chord progressions and melodies and everything. And I do think that our copyright law is just broken and ridiculous.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
Chris, you said you've heard it, you could see it. Let me ask you a question. Is it like "Eye in the Sky" by Alan Parsons Project and that "I Need You Now" song? Where it is just like, oh my God, that is the same fucking song. Like everything. Or is it just a little part of it? You know what I'm saying?
It's the backing track to the verse.
Because
it's a good portion of it.
Okay, because I wonder how Alan Parsons Project didn't sue the fuck out of, was it Florida Georgia Line with that "I Need You Now" song? And I'm like, that is the same fucking song. It's literally the same fucking song.
Yeah, no, that No, that is a scenario that I think Aaron and I are talking about. That is just similar chord progressions. It's not note for note.
Okay.
Because I know what song you're talking about. Isn't it Lady Ante? I don't know.
Lady Antebellum. That's it.
My wife listened to that song a million times, so I've heard it more than I care to fucking admit. But no, it's not like that where it's like, oh, it's similar chord progression. They're in the same key. No, like this. You'd say in the intro, like I said, it's the same synth line. It's just Katy Perry's is an octave higher.
Well, there was what?
We were in the studio. I could play them, but we were not. So
there was what? 6 writers?
Yeah.
You said, Aaron?
I believe so. I'm not sure if that includes Katy Perry herself. But yes, it took 6 writers to make Dark Horse, which it's a pretty simple song. But all right.
I'm kind of wondering if this is one of them things like someone comes up with the bare bones of the song. They record a demo of it. They give it to, they show it to the label. The label's like, let's bring in a few song doctors. And it goes, it goes through a few different song doctors who add like 1 or 2 things and they all get a writing credit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It kind of works like we imagine Hollywood scripts do. Where, you got specialized teams, like, we're going to give this to our punch-up guy. I'm sure they, went, this sounds pretty good. It's got a nice melody. I like the beat. We're going to give this to our bass expert who's really going to, bring the boom.
Well, that's how Kevin Smith got a writing credit on Coyote Ugly. He literally rewrote one scene. They didn't use almost everything he wrote. They used one line, and he got a writing credit and royalties on it. He's like, I had to see the movie to figure out what line they used. And he was like, and then I saw it and I'm like, they used literally one line, one sentence that I wrote. But hey, fuck it. If you get paid for it, good work if you can find it.
And it bought my summer house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he told one of his question and answer DVDs. Someone asked him about the writing credit on that because they'd see it on a Internet Movie Database, and he told the story. And I think it was ultimately the line was they were talking. 2 girls were talking about, have you ever done anything with another woman? And she said, I just played around in the minors. I never went pro. And that was it. That's it. That was his. That was And he's like, I got a decent chunk of money for that. So.
It's a point Adam Carolla brought up, and I thought it was a good point. I want to bring it up to you guys. Do you think that the more and more computers are involved and instruments and musicians are involved less, this is going to be happening?
No. No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. He went further with it. He said, well, these are just noises. It's not even music behind them.
No, yeah, that's where he lost me. But for me, it was just thinking more of like it would, with more and more sequencing and less musicians playing live. I think there could be something to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's 2 things that I think of in that respect. One is folk music and the other is techno. And
I'm listening because that is a very broad spectrum.
Well, folk music comes from a tradition of building off of songs that came before. And even these songs, a lot of the songs that we think of as part of America and, come from the time of our revolution were just existing songs that we repurposed and put new lyrics to. But that's a common thing. And it's almost like in defense of the British artists that were ripping off Black blues artists in America. They were as well carrying on that tradition because all those Black blues artists were ripping off melodies that they heard from their ancestors.
Led Zeppelin, looking at you.
Well, right. So, blues artists are taking, work songs and hymnals and stuff like that and putting it all to this, guitar music.
I guess,
and they're, it's like the same thing with sampling, right? There is a point where it's too restrictive, and I think that we are at that point. I think that Katy Perry should only be allowed to be sued if she just performed that guy's song and didn't give him any credit. Other than that, it should be fair game, because the copyright laws that we have are so restrictive that artists like De La Soul can't even make any money off of their early records.
Yeah.
Because all that shit that was produced by Prince Paul, who is a genius when it comes to turntablism and sampling and beat making and programming and all this shit, his stuff is innovative. And because everybody's going, well, you have to pay this artist for this beat, and you got this one little vocal sample in here that you use a couple times, that artist has to be paid. And by the time they nickel and dime through each and every song, it's not even worth a label to carry it anymore.
Well, I will play devil's advocate in this respect. You are messing around with recordings that you don't own.
Yeah, and you're repurposing them. You're making something new with it.
Yeah, but it's still it's you do not have ownership of those recordings. It's the way that it's structured legally.
I understand that, and that's why I'm saying that there's something wrong with the way it's structured legally. I understand that none of this is being done illegally. Nobody's getting quote unquote cheated. It's all above board. It's just
they should pay everybody. De La Soul should be getting just as much as they got to pay out to all those other artists.
I don't think that they should have to pay out to those artists. I don't think you should have to pay out for sampling. So I said folk music and techno. I've done the folk music thing. On the techno side, I mean, if they could sue each other for ripping off ideas, then that's all these guys would be doing if they actually cared about it in that respect. Because, yeah, I mean, in a little bit of defense of what Adam Carolla was talking about, they're all using, especially early techno, it's all a bunch of 303s and 808s, 909s. It's, they're all using the same ARP and Moog synthesizers, and they're all just building on each other's ideas. And, techno has gone commercial in as much as the production of techno, the production style of techno, I should say, has made its way into commercial music. Techno producers still make their bones on DJing and live performances. They're not selling millions of records. And so therefore, it's just not a moneymaker. And the traditions of building on that what came before you that's happening in techno is just a continuation of what happened with folk music and blues music in America. What's happened with every form of American music. It's only when it gets to a point where it's a money generator, when it is an industry, when it's not just, a couple guys making a track and getting it pressed to a record and finding a label to shop it to. It's a whole team of people whose jobs depend on your song charting, and millions of dollars are being tossed around that people really get into, like, this sample and that melody and this beat.
That's how they eat.
No, but it's not, right? They eat based on being part of producing music that people want to hear.
Yeah, but part of that too is the revenues generated off of that music. It's people's livelihood. People can talk about artistic integrity all they want, but when it's the only thing you do and that's how you generate income, it becomes a little bit more important to you.
Yeah, I get that, but that's why I'm saying, like, if somebody's performing somebody else's song and not giving them credit, not paying that artist, then I think that should be the cap. Other than that, any piece of audio that you want to repurpose, I think is fair game. Otherwise, there is a point to which you institute laws to protect creators and actually make them so restrictive that you're actually restricting creativity in general.
Well, there's also
the only guys doing shit like Prince Paul was back in the day are the underground guys. Nobody's coming after R2DJ because R2DJ doesn't make enough money to be worth coming after. And Danger Mouse has gotten big enough where he probably has to clear everything these days.
Oh yeah.
But if you listen to current Danger Mouse productions and older ones, there's a difference. he's a good producer either way, and that's why he's successful, because he just has the ear, obviously. But his stuff doesn't have near the amount of sampling and repurposing of audio that it used to. You know, it might be a drum beat and a bass line that he clears with the artist, and that's it.
Well, another thing I think it gets lost is that people automatically assume that if somebody gets sued for sampling or, you know, ripping off a song, they assume that the artist that wrote and recorded the song is the one that initiated the lawsuit. And that's, from what I understand, that's the exception. That's not the rule.
Right. Well, it would be whoever owns the rights to that music, and artists owning the rights to their music is not that common when you get to that professional level.
Yeah, because I remember the whole Sam, whatever his face, and Tom Petty thing, and Tom Petty, you know, they asked him about it, and he said, I have nothing to do with that lawsuit.
Right.
And if they win, I won't see a dime from any of it. Doesn't matter to me. I don't really care one way or the other. And I mean, then you had, you know, the infamous one, The Verve with Bittersweet Symphony. It took, 20 some years, but the Rolling Stones finally got control of the ownership of that music back and then said, hey, look, you know what? You guys can keep from here on out, whatever, you know, keep the money from, we're the fucking Rolling Stones. We don't need that little pocket change that you guys, you know, have been getting fucked out of for 20 years.
For the most part, the artists are not the ones who care. And, you know, when your copyright law is in place to protect the people involved on the business side of making music, that's not the people that I'm looking to protect.
Well, it's like you said about, you know, the blues artists and you know, the in the 60s, you know, you had a bunch of people from, you know, England basically redoing old American blues songs.
Yeah.
I think what
like Led Zeppelin, straight up taking Muddy Water riffs.
See, now Led Zeppelin didn't do what a lot of the other artists did, which was, you know, the Rolling Stones made a point to try to put these original blues artists who they were covering or lifting shit from in front of an audience, because there was a mutual respect there. I mean, that's how come guys like Johnny Winter and Stevie Ray Vaughan had as much respect with the old blues guys as they did, because they would get these guys on stage.
Yeah. They gave respect and they got it back.
You know, it's when it's when the shit would just get stolen or re-recorded. Who was that? Was it Pat Boone? For a while there, it's like anything considered race music, he would record and sanitize and release, like Tutti Frutti,
right?
You know, shit like that. Those are the guys.
A version for the white audience.
Yeah, you know, those are the guys that, like, yeah, you guys are fucking assholes. Like, and I understand that ultimately Pat Boone was probably just told, do you want a career? Then shut up and sing what we put in front of you.
That's right. And I'm sure Little Richard got paid for them using that song. You know, it's
right.
Yeah, but I mean, but Pat Boone didn't have Little Richard come on television and duet with him the song. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's nice to get paid, but it's more important to get him in front of people, because that'll actually bolster his, you know, when he goes on tour, more people will come see him. I think if I was an artist, that's what I'd care more about.
Randy Newman, I think I brought this up before maybe on this podcast, but he was interviewed recently on Revisionist History. What's the guy who hosts it? I'm blanking on his name.
Dan Carlin? Or no, Wrong History Podcast.
No, yeah. But anyway, he was talking to him about, because I'm using this as an example, because this is what gets the artists pissed off, right?
Malcolm Gladwell.
Thank you, Malcolm Gladwell. Right. So, God damn it, I can't keep two names in my head at the same time, apparently. Randy Newman. Right? So Randy Newman is talking to Malcolm Gladwell. They're talking about a song that he wrote, and that it was somebody like Pat Boone or somebody that performed it, right? So he writes this song that's about coming to America, right? But the song, it's kind of like one of these Born in the USA songs. You know, if you don't listen to the lyrics, then you can think, yeah, go America. But if you actually pay attention to the lyrics, you realize, oh, this is about building America on the backs of minorities. And with just a few little word tweaks, they make this sanitized version of it, right? They pay Randy Newman. He gets his writer's credit. He gets more money than he ever saw from his original recording of it, because this one's hitting the radios. You know, he's getting his due, but they're changing the song just enough to make it mean something completely different. And that's what upset him. You know, artists themselves aren't the ones who are getting all twisted up over this lyric or melody or beat or something that somebody might have ripped off. It's when people either perform their songs without credit or mutilate their songs in some way. That's what's really important to the artists, if you take them at their word.
Well, and I mean, to go back to Zeppelin, there is a well-documented history of Jimmy Page ripping off pretty much anybody he could if he thought they had a good riff. I mean, the whole Stairway to Heaven thing with, what was that band? Spirit or something like that?
Yeah, Spirit.
Yeah. I mean, I know that.
See, that one I didn't agree with. That for like 2 measures, they rip off that song, but after that,
right,
that song goes in a completely different direction.
You're comparing 2 chords. It's just that they're arpeggiated in the same way that makes you think that they ripped it off. People look at that and go, "Oh, that's a melody," and they ripped it off. And artists go, "No, they're arpeggiating a chord, and it just happens to be the same 2 chords back to back, which happens all the time."
Well, I know that at the end of his tenure in the Yardbirds, I guess he didn't write, but he took these songs from the end of the Yardbirds into the beginning of Led Zeppelin, which was Dazed and Confused and Communication Breakdown.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, we've all been in bands. We've all, you know, we know what it's like, but it's like, dude, it's kind of a dick move. If you didn't write the shit, you know what I'm saying? Just because you got into the band and Jeff Beck wrote it and then left, and you came and replaced Jeff Beck, give him his fucking writing credit and use it, fine. But to just go, well, this is mine because Beck walked out of the band, so obviously he don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's a dick move, dude. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have a problem with Jimmy Page worship, because I'm like,
well, sure.
With that, and besides, you know, fucking 13-year-old kids, that, you know.
Yeah, I loved him when I was learning to play guitar. It's the reason why I play Les Paul. But the more that onion gets peeled back, the less I respect the guy. And I'm not trying to be an apologist for him, but he has come out and said that a lot of it was unintentional because he was a session musician and he played so many sessions that there was just shit that he forgot was other people's, and that's what he said.
Mm-hmm. Well, he played on "Can't Explain" by The Who.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't think he was even credited on any of the albums. That came out years later in an interview with Pete Townsend. And and if I remember correctly, when they brought it up to Jimmy Page, he was like, "I did." So if he was that type of session guy, then he was just literally a hired gun. Come in, here's the chord chart, play this, record it, get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I can kind of understand that. Because you got that much music rolling around in your head, unintentional plagiarism is going to happen. Christ, I've sat down and started playing something, been like, this is really cool. And then like someone walk in the room and go, oh, when did you learn that song? Fuck.
God all damn right. It. Yeah. One of those moments. Yeah.
Like throw that back out. All right. Done with that.
Yeah, but that's how a lot of ideas start, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, for me, it was trying to learn other people's songs and fucking them up. And then I went, well, at least it's unique. You know? or you know, you play, you know, you're playing a melody that you know, and you play something different and you go, oh, that gives it a whole different feeling when I hit that wrong note. And then you just start exploring from there. And I don't know.
There's the infamous Jeff Beck quote, if you fuck up, just repeat it 3 more times. Everyone will think you did it on purpose.
Yeah, it's called improv.
I mean, to go back to Led Zeppelin again, I don't feel like Led Zeppelin should be sued for ripping off anybody's music. You know, I feel like history will kind of take care of that by itself, right? I mean, certainly Led Zeppelin is a band that, for whatever reason, like the Doors, its legacy just seems unkillable. And there's always going to be a certain segment of the population that's really attracted to that. And there's still some Led Zeppelin stuff that I'll listen to. I'm not completely hating on the band, but I am not the rabid fan that I was when I was 16 years old.
Yes, that's
because I've heard other music.
I wanted to make that point. It's not like, they're not on the no-fly list like Michael Jackson now. I still listen to them occasionally, but the amount of respect and hero worship that I used to have for at least Jimmy Page is pretty much out the window at this point.
And see, for me, it's shifted from, when I listen to Zeppelin now, I'm more like, God damn, John Paul Jones and John Bonham were beasts together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even worry about fucking, first of all, half of Plant's like, shut up, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially the live shit.
That's what, Led Zeppelin getting noticed for the big guitar riffs and the, the certain vocal style that was definitely very influential on a lot of music to come. But their true legacy is, it's two things. It's having that tight rhythm section that really drives all those songs, and what they did in the studio.
John Bonham was the best part of that band.
Right. Yeah, and the producers they worked with knew that, and they were like, we have to feature the drummer on this.
That's one thing about their albums.
Songs
I love
before
their
that.
drum sounds.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, I just said that's one thing about their albums. I love their drum sounds.
Yes. And that's why those they still rock today.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, your rhythm section was just a tool to move the song along, and you pushed it into the back of the mix, or literally just into the back of the band because you were just recording with one microphone. And so, bass player, drummer, you guys get in the back. We don't need to hear you guys as much. And Led Zeppelin was part of this idea of, no, we're not just talking about songwriters and performers and singers and guitar players. We're talking about bands as a unit, a full thing, every single member being important, not an interchangeable thing. And that was set up for us by, previous bands, certainly like the Beatles, but it was a more definitive version of that. The Beatles, nobody would say they were interchangeable, but there was still a lot of the old school mentality of the Beatles when it was really just the songwriting, the idea that they're writing and performing their own stuff. That was innovative for the Beatles, but yeah, Led Zeppelin was innovative in the way that the appreciation of the band as a unit.
Well, I was watching a video the other night. It's a YouTube channel called Polyphonic.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into like the ins and outs of music, it's a pretty cool channel to follow and subscribe to. But they have a video breaking down Bonham's drumming on "Fool in the Rain." And I watched the whole thing, and I'm like, I just sat here and watched a 15-minute video breaking down the drum part, and was totally entertained through the whole thing because it's like he was that good. He just listening to his drum part, you at least as a musician, you could be like, okay, all right, I see what he's doing here.
Have you ever heard the isolated drum track for that song? It's nuts.
Yeah,
he's doing all kinds of shuffle shit. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
his pocket is deep.
Yeah,
the biggest hip hop head I've ever found, and have ever played when the levee breaks, that beginning drum part. All of them are like, "Oh shit!" The minute they hear it, that's "Oh shit!" And I'm like, exactly. Enough said. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to get past just that intro, that drum intro, and you're just like, okay, all right, got it. Because those fucking drums sound like, it sounds like, I imagine like Thor playing drums. Some god or something playing drums.
Yeah. My opinion, all rock records should be produced like Physical Graffiti. That's just me.
But yeah, it's funny because when he died, they've had a few reunions and they've had his son set in and, okay, whatever. I think wasn't there they did some festival and they had Phil Collins sit in, which is like, you're replacing John Bonham? Yeah, Phil Collins, really? Okay. I mean, Collins. No, but it's like I need someone a little bit more guttural to replace John Bonham. You know what I'm saying? Phil Collins seems just too polished. I don't know.
Someone with chops. Phil Collins seemed like a competent drummer, but he never really seemed like he had chops.
Well, he was in Genesis when they were like a prog band with Peter Gabriel. So
yeah,
I mean, you know, he had them, but Bonham seems like he come from that gut bucket school of drumming, whereas Phil Collins has always seemed like he came from the very polished.
Well, yeah.
Prog rock school of drumming.
We're just talking about the drum track to "Fool in the Rain," and what's Phil Collins' most famous drum riff? Do 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 do.
Yes.
Yeah, but that do 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 probably made Phil Collins a lot more money than "Fool in the Rain" drum track did Led Zeppelin. But no, it's certain bands.
But Bonham's drum style was also like it was like a gumbo. Because he was just throwing everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was.
He had, the blues and backbeat influences and jazz and swing music.
And you can get funk. I mean, look at "Trampled Underfoot."
Funk, yeah.
That's his attempt at a funk song, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that rhythm section in that song is so good.
But what I was going to say is it is. You're right. You take out one of the elements, you take out John Bonham, there is no more Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I know The Who has been, on an endless goodbye tour, but let's be honest here. They had one song worth even talking about after Keith Moon died, Eminence Front? I mean, name me some newer Who songs after Keith Moon died besides that. Crickets. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just so I mean, that's what I appreciate as I get older. When I was younger, the whole, bombast of like Zeppelin and, the breakdown in Dazed and Confused and all that shit was like, oh my God, he's using a violin bow on a guitar. That's crazy. Because I'd never seen that shit. Like I said, as I got older, I started to appreciate different parts. And going, that's nice to go ahead, scream over top of it, Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. Mm-hmm. If it's live, Robert Plant's going to, caterwaul or caterwaul or whatever, and Jimmy Page is going to play like a 2-year-old with a broken wrist. But but the rhythm section tight as ever, and it's like, yeah, that's. I think that's probably what really. I think that's what got me into a lot more of paying attention to rhythm sections was listening every Saturday. My dad would play, a handful of albums on rotation, and one of them was Led Zeppelin 2. And, like the Lemon song, I almost just wanted to loop that part where it's just the bass and the drums and the guitars just, strumming quietly and the bass and John Paul Jones just grooving and shit. Like when the actual song would kick in, I go back to the other part. That's what it was cool, But well, speaking of music and old people music, no Woodstock 50. Anybody shocked?
No, because it's supposed to be in like 2 weeks. It's supposed to be August 15th, 16th, 17th, or 16th, 17th, 18th. Either way. Yeah, and two, hasn't it been canceled like 4 times? Do they really mean it this time?
Well, according to Rolling Stone, they had 2 venues lined up, or not venues, but they had 2 areas where they were going to stage the festival. They lost both of them. And then one of the head financiers announced that they were canceling it. And then the rest of the financiers said, no, he just pulled out. We're going to go ahead with it. And the whole time this is going on, this list of musicians that they said were going to be on it kept shrinking. And getting more and more, why would I go pay to see that shit? And then eventually, like a week or 2 ago, they said it's going to be a free, whatever. And now it's just like, no, we're done. We're not doing it. And I mean, I'm kind of okay with it. I mean, we have enough festivals now. We really, do the baby boomers really need to relive their golden years that much? Their salad days and their golden years that much? I mean, because I can't imagine 70-year-old baby boomers dragging themselves out to the fucking concert. So, I mean, Woodstock 99 was a fucking debacle. I know a handful of people that went, and
me too.
When I heard the horror show that was, I said, "Fuck it." If they ever have another one, 94. I had a chance to go, I didn't, and I kind of kicked myself over. Once I heard about 99, I was like, I'm glad I didn't go. Like $12 for some fucking water.
Yeah, I had a few friends who road tripped, and yeah, when they came back, the stories they told were fucking crazy. Like, well, yeah, better you than me, guys. Glad you guys did that and not me.
Right. Well, I've never been much of a festival guy in general. I went to the Lollapaloozas back in the day, but those were more of an experience than, there's no Lollapalooza performance where I'm like, oh, that was the best time I ever saw that band. My memorable experiences seeing bands were all in smaller clubs and, regular venues, stuff like that.
Where you can actually hear them.
Right. But yeah, I don't understand. I guess I do understand the appeal, but I don't understand the appeal as a music fan, I guess.
Well, I mean,
if you just want to be like part of the culture, I can understand why you'd want to go to something like
for me to go to a festival, like there's got to be at least 3 to 4 bands I want to see, because I'm not paying the exorbitant price to see one band.
That you can't see somewhere else.
Yeah.
These are considered the headliners when it was announced that it had been canceled. Okay. The Killers, Miley Cyrus, Santana, Ted and Company, Chance the Rapper, Jay-Z, and Imagine Dragons. I can tell you this right now. Don't care about Miley Cyrus.
If I was 10 years younger, I'd be into that lineup.
Jay-Z, this is sacrilege in some circles. Live hip-hop is garbage most of the time.
Oh, like 98% of the time.
Because it's usually them yelling.
Yeah, and like 5 hype men running around saying every third word. It's like...
best rap show I ever saw was De La Soul.
See, I could see that, because let me guess, they didn't have 50 people on stage.
I take that back, actually. It would probably be equal without cast.
I saw J5.
Totally different. Cool. Oh, that would be nice. Totally different show. But yeah, I think both acts put on a really good show. But you're right. I don't know another rap act that I'd want to go see, honestly.
So I mean, Jay-Z is capable of putting on a good live show. I've seen it. I just don't know if I don't know if that's the type of venue that would, or the type of situation that would cater to him putting on a good live show, because it's just, let's be honest, as big as if this Woodstock was going to be like Woodstock 99, it's going to be pretty boring watching one guy on stage with a DJ. So they're going to, they're probably going to fill the stage up with a ton of people, and it's going to look like, when did the Wu-Tang Clan get here? There's like 50 rappers on stage. What the fuck is this?
And let's be honest too. He's kind of fell off since the Black Album.
Yeah, when he said he was going to drop that album and retire as the best rapper alive, you should have stuck to your word, Jay. I'm just saying.
Because American Gangster was okay, and then that one he put out, was it 2 years ago? Wasn't that great?
The only one that really sticks out post Black Album is that song he did with Alicia Keys. That was it, Empire State of Mind or something like that. That New York song. And the only reason is because of Adventure Time. Someone remixed the making bacon pancakes.
Yes.
Making pancakes, making bacon pancakes.
Take the bacon and you put it in the pan.
The pancake. Bacon pancakes. It fits perfect, though. I mean, it really does. So whenever I hear that song now, come on, it's what I just start singing in my head. I've done it at work a few times. I started singing it out loud at work a few times, and I've had some funny looks like, what the fuck are you singing? I'm like, if you don't know.
I'm not telling you.
And then, I mean, Imagine Dragons, okay. Why? I no interest in seeing them.
It's a great lineup if I was 30.
It's just, I mean, like, okay, Dead and Company. So you're seeing literally the people who haven't died from the Grateful Dead.
And John Mayer.
Yeah. So it's like,
I guess the question is, like, in the day where, festivals like Bonnaroo are bigger than ever, how did you fuck this one up? Like, it has a history built into it already. It seems like a slam dunk.
Yeah, like this is the first music festival. There's no Bonnaroo. There's no Burning Man. There's no Coachella without Woodstock.
Yeah.
I don't know. all I can think of is that maybe some of the investors or people that were putting money up started seeing, wait a minute, this is going down the road of just pure fuckery. And they just remembered, Woodstock 99 and said, I'm good on that.
Or two, maybe they started having, visions of, remember the sandwich from the Fire Festival?
Yeah.
the piece of bread and lettuce, maybe they started.
Are we going to have white people eating plain bologna sandwiches?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a good look.
I don't know. I still have to watch that documentary, but I've heard so much about it on other podcasts. I feel like I've seen the damn thing already.
Yeah.
So.
Same. That's why I never need to see Titanic. First of all, I knew the ending, so.
Yeah. Ship sinks. And he could have totally fit on that door.
Thank you. That's the first time I watched Titanic. All right. I was like, she's like, Jack, don't leave me. Bitch, scoot over and he won't have to.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, move your fat ass.
I mean, and there's also been several memes on the internet that sketch like 8 ways they could have fit on that thing together.
You've already fucked. Just lay on top of him. What are you?
Yeah, right.
What are you you worried about a Me Too moment? I mean, come on. What the fuck? Yeah, oh God. Yeah. I got mad at myself for watching that movie and went, this is the highest grossing movie ever. Well, it was for a while until Avatar and now Endgame. But I'm like, really? That's when I was like, teenage girls rule the fucking world. That's the only reason this is the highest grossing movie ever.
That Endgame thing, though, is a little suspicious in my mind. They ended their last weekend after bringing it back with, some bonus features that didn't do anything for the movie. And, they wrapped up that weekend without hitting their number. And then all of a sudden they tallied it up and they're like, oh, wait a minute. We found a few million laying around here. Yes, we did get it. But whatever. It's kind of meaningless anyways, right? What does it really mean? Everyone seems to be good-natured about it. What's his name? The Avatar producer.
James
Cameron.
Yeah, James Cameron was very good-natured about it.
Well, what I imagine James Cameron doing is what I imagined, or is what Kevin Smith had Gus Van Sant do in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They're like, hey, James, Avengers just took over. And he's like, I'm counting my money here. Quiet.
Yeah.
Like, just like, who gives a shit? I'm James Cameron.
Yep.
I got more money than God.
Yeah, I had 2 of the biggest grossing movies of all time. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
Well, since we've moved on to the visual medium, Rich, you've watched some of The Boys, right?
Yep. I just finished episode 6 earlier today.
Yeah. This is a show that I'm pretty much blown away by.
Oh yeah, I'm all in on this show.
I mean,
it doesn't hurt that I'm a big Carl Urban fan.
Yeah.
So,
he's so good.
He's not. Remember the movie I told you he played the bad guy and he was chewing scenery like Dennis Hopper in Waterworld?
Right.
I want to say it was called Priest, and his character was Black Hat. That was literally his character's name, and it was like such a cheesy, bad movie, and it seems like he knew it, so he amped up the cheese. Yeah, he was like, well, fuck it. I'm getting paid either way. I might as well fucking just... That tree looks nice. Let me gnaw on that for a while, you know? But, his character isn't exactly like I pictured him being in this, but I like his character in it.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I don't know a lot of the actors, I'm like, wow, it's kind of unusual to take in new entertainment and actually give a fuck about the characters. Like that's the sign of making a good television show or movie, you know?
Yeah. I know it seems to be catching on with a lot of people. They're already signed up for a second season. A lot of people are appreciating it, but this was just going to be material that rubbed people the wrong way. But I think they handled it perfectly. They managed to balance all these elements of, well, some of them directly from the book and some of them not, in a way that actually makes sense and comes across the reader. Because part of the problem with The Boys and with a lot of that Vertigo era 90s stuff, and especially the stuff that Garth Ennis wrote, The Boys and Preacher, I was actually thinking about this when we were talking about Led Zeppelin, because it's one of those things where, at the time I was reading this shit and going, oh, this is mind blowing, right? He's going there like this is comics with sex and violence and people talking like adults, and it was something different and it really appealed to me. But I read it now and I go, this is a little cringy. Like, he's got some weird ideas of masculinity and there's elements to that just they don't stand up. But it doesn't mean that I totally discredit it and like, oh, I can't read that shit anymore. It's just not all of it holds up, and maybe some of it's just stuff that I've outgrown. But they managed to take a lot of those elements and mix it in a way where it builds characters, like you said, that you're going to care about, and balance that kind of over-the-top violence thing in ways that's very emotionally effective and still gets you the yucks as well. It's a very graphic show, and people die on it. A lot of people die in this show, and some of it's kind of like Kill Bill, right? Where you're watching Kill Bill and you're just like, this is just so over the top that I'm not even thinking about, oh, this guy has to, spend the rest of his life without a leg. It's not even coming across as real violence, right? Where I think the violence, while exaggerated and played for shock effect, definitely still comes across as real. And it's down to the character development and the performance of the actors that really make the difference there, that anchor this show in enough reality to keep you caring about what's going to happen to these characters. Well, that's a really tricky thing.
They set the tone right off the bat.
It's got to be the most perfect example of an opening, a first episode, right? I mean, they set up everything in that first episode perfectly. They keep you coming back. I just, a lot of shows, especially, watching that first episode, sometimes it's a pilot episode even, and you're like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see where they go with it, and they start to find their voice over that first season. This is a show that had a definite idea in mind. They knew what they wanted to get across. They knew how they wanted to handle the material, and they put all of that in that first episode. I mean, like that final shot in episode 1 where Homelander zaps the plane out of the sky is just so choice. You see Homelander flies up alongside the plane, casually lasers it with his eyes, and then you see the plane just kind of fall out of view, and the camera stays with Homelander, and he's just completely dead-faced, right? Not even reacting, and they hold on him, and then you see a little bit of a smirk, right? And they don't give away, like, Homelander is one of the most mysterious characters outside of their Batman ripoff, who never even takes off his mask. But they tell you everything that you need to know about that character in that final scene.
Well, I'll say this. I think that somewhere Zack Snyder's watching this going, oh, that's how you do a realistic superheroes or asshole movie or property.
In a way that's not too slavishly tied to the original material. They adapted it very well.
I mean, the first episode, you have their version of the Flash, the A-Train, runs through a civilian and disintegrates her while she's leaning in for a kiss from her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, okay. And then when...
but it's played for both humor and horrific effect, and very well.
Yeah.
The idea that, he's holding her hands as she gets ran through, and he's left just holding her hands. Like, that's all that's left of her.
I think the last time I reacted,
and you're watching it, like, laughing and going, I shouldn't be laughing at this. Wait, this isn't funny. This is really disturbing. This is messed up. Oh, but this is really funny.
Yeah, the last time I reacted to a scene like that was oh shit, I think I just shot Marvin in the face.
Right.
Pulp Fiction scene.
That's a perfect analogy.
And then, I mean, I forget, who's the Starlight? Is that the
Yeah.
Yeah, when she joins and she meets the Deep, who's their Aquaman ripoff, and he's kind of like, oh, so you had a crush on me? And she turns her back. She's like, yeah, when I was younger. And she turns back around, and he's just butt naked stroking his dick, like, we're not doing this. And it's just like, whoa, wait a minute. This ain't the Marvel MCU we're in here. You know what I'm saying? This is not a Disney produced superhero franchise. That's for damn sure. It's like I said, it set the tone, and it's like, I mean, it's a well walked carpet at this point. What if superheroes were real and we put them in the real world? They would probably be assholes. They would be, insufferable cocksuckers because they're superheroes.
Right. I mean, why would they be any different? All the people that we've elevated have disappointed us in some way.
But the part that I thought was even more funny was like the superhero con with Haley Joel Osment signing 8x10s of his bad 80s show about being able to read minds by holding hands.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, if the world had a bunch of superheroes in it, there would be like the retired superheroes. It's kind of like the retired wrestlers.
Yeah.
You go see Hacksaw Jim Duggan and have him, and sign his 8x10 for you, and
right. They have a lot going for them in the way that, everybody is familiar with this genre of superhero, right? So, and they have a lot of analogs that are, can quickly establish who these people are. Here's your Superman character, here's your Batman, here's your Flash, here's your Wonder Woman. They've got a lot going for them on that respect. But the way they so handily, again, in that first episode, turn all of that on its head in a way that totally makes sense, where you go, yeah, this seems legit. Like, it almost makes this more real than anything that's had superheroes in it.
Okay, but I just want to say, we've spoiled a little bit, but for the most part, you get everything we're talking about from any trailer you're going to watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into specifics. So if you don't want to hear specifics, go ahead and skip past this part.
Okay.
Because it's too good to not bring up. The fact that there is a support group for people who got fucked up by superheroes.
Right.
And the fact that it seems like any normal person who has sex with a superhero gets fucked up in the process. Like the one chick who, gets her landlord and that's right, eat my ass. And when she comes, she flexes her butt cheeks and crushes his head.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? The dude who fucked the chick who could turn into to turn her body to ice. Yep. And he's like, and then she went down to minus 400 and some degrees and my dick came off.
Right. Just snapped right off.
I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is like the ultimate Kevin Smith conversation from Mallrats. Like, well, Superman can't wear a condom, but what if his super sperm would kill Lois Lane? Well, he'd have to wear a kryptonite condom, but that would kill him. You know what I'm saying? But it's done in such a way that it could have been campy and over the top and hammy, but it's not. And I think that's due to.
I think it's got just the right amount of camp.
Well, what I'm saying is it doesn't go like way over the top with it, and it treats the material seriously, but it also doesn't take itself seriously and it's a very self-aware television show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there's just like, I think that's my problem with a lot of the DC movies that I've seen. Like they just like, they're taking themselves way too serious. Like lighten up, Francis. But seriously.
Right. I mean, they're portraying superheroes being these assholes, but they're not even really talking about superheroes. They're talking about, really these characters, the seven main superheroes in this show, they're talking about people like Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly and Bill Cosby.
Yeah, the Christian superhero who's in the closet gay.
Right. They're talking about people who are above the law.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I was taking a drink there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of commentary on the current state of the world going on in this, that they're just using superheroes as a way to make that commentary.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, once again, that's kind of a trope now in superhero movies.
But again, they don't hit you over the head with it.
Exactly. It's done well.
And they've got all their elements perfectly balanced in that show. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, it's going to... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I read the description. If I watch any of the show, it'll probably be by accident.
Well, I read.
It's not my thing. I'm not bagging on you guys. It's just my needle does not move when I read the description.
Mm-hmm.
I read one review where the guy said he's not a big fan of the superhero movies that have dominated the last decade or so. He goes, but this is like a television show for people who are. If you're not a superhero fan, you can still enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of taking the piss out of superheroes and the whole hero worship thing and can do no wrong. And, and listen, a little cross promotion here, listening to a lot of the Projection Booth with Mike White and his guests that they have on there. Those guys are hardcore film buffs. And I didn't realize there is as much of a backlash against the comic book movies as there is going on in film culture, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is just an absolute disdain and loathing for it.
Because that's the only way you make money anymore at the movies. It's killed the indie film.
Yeah, I mean, one of the this wasn't the Projection Booth I was listening to, but I was listening to another movie podcast, and they were talking about Tarantino's new movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and how 15 years ago a Tarantino movie coming out was a huge thing. Now it's like, we're waiting for the next Marvel movie. We're waiting for or whatever. It's just like it's just
Yeah, but I heard it was his biggest opening.
Yeah.
Well, it's his most expensive movie to date. I think they said it was close to $100 million budget. Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's what, easily 40 million right there.
Don't forget Margot Robbie. So
Yeah.
we're up to probably 50 or 60.
But yeah, so if
the lady that wanted to complain about Margot Robbie not having enough to do in this movie, well, she probably got paid more per line than anyone.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear she's in it a lot, but she doesn't say much.
Yeah,
isn't she Sharon Tate?
Yeah. And I think that the Manson murders isn't the centerpiece of the movie. It's more like it happens in the process of telling this story, and their paths cross because it's about Hollywood.
Now, one complaint I've heard about that movie, and my guess it's probably from someone much younger than us, is that if you don't know what happened with Sharon Tate, eventually, that it kind of ruined. It just expects you to know that happened to have the ending make sense.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I guess it's that age group that Rich likes to talk about that doesn't think anything existed before they were born.
Yeah, pick up a history book. Google it. What do you want me to fucking tell you? How you are walking this earth over the age of 30 and you have no idea who Charles Manson is? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, even just to hear the name, it's like I said when I met the coworker that was 18. It was like, "Who are the Beatles?" I'm like, "How the fuck does that happen?"
Yeah, right.
18
who are
years.
Your parents? I want to talk to them.
You've never even heard the fucking name of the band, to where you can go, "Oh yeah, yeah." My grandparents listen to them. Give me something here to work with.
Well,
but I will say this: if you're not a huge superhero fan, and you have access, because it is on Amazon Prime, you have access to watch the show. I would say give it a try. If you don't like it, what's Drew saying? Drew, send me the bill.
Yeah.
Well,
Succession's starting in like 2 days, man. I don't know if I got room for another TV show.
What is okay? Here's my turn to live under a mushroom. What is Succession?
It's an Adam McKay produced and directed series about a 1% family. In a sense, that's the broad strokes. There's a lot more.
Wait a minute, is this on HBO?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has Brian Cox in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I know what it is now. All right.
Pretty dry.
Escape the mushroom.
Yeah, that's one of those shows where I feel like you got to kind of push through that first episode. And if you do, then you understand the tone and you can go forward. It's not one of these shows that's going to catch you right away, I don't think.
I think a lot of HBO shows.
But it's worth it.
Though.
It's worth it. Everything pays off in that show.
Yeah, because I watched it just because Mandy started watching. I was like, whatever. And it was just kind of something that I just one day just started watching it with her and was like, oh shit.
It's kind of like the first time you see The Office and you're like, I don't get what they're doing here. And then you watch another episode and you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then by the end of the season, we're both. It was appointment TV for both of us.
Oh yeah.
And then Silicon Valley's coming back in October for the final season.
It is official, the final season?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, where the fuck is Silicon Valley? It's been a while now, but it makes sense.
I heard it was supposed to come out next year. They pushed it up. They were shooting it this year at the time when it normally comes out, and it was like, everyone's schedules don't match up, and it'll probably come out next year. And all of a sudden, hey, October. All right. Not complaining.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's sad that it's the last season, but Mike Judge will go on to another project, and I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, because that's what Mike Judge does.
Yeah, he very
Has he done
quietly
anything shitty?
I was going to say very quietly and under the radar has a pretty good batting average.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Office Space, Idiocracy, Extract.
What was that movie with Jason Bateman? And it wasn't
Extract.
Yeah, so that wasn't huge. It wasn't. I don't know if it would be.
It was still great. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
the best scene is when what was her name, Mila Kunis goes into the guitar shop. You remember that scene?
Yes.
And the salespeople are all like, "Oh my god, a hot chick," and she's like, "Do you have it in a different color?" Let me go in the back and see. And she just walks out with like a $4,000 Gibson.
Yep.
Just playing the dumb, like, oh my God, I just want a prettier guitar.
I also enjoyed the angry stoner in that movie. The guy who got angry the more pot he smoked.
Yeah, like I said, he's kind of under the radar, but if you know, I can't think of anything he's been attached to that I've been like, this is just garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, I really thought because Idiocracy was filmed like and completed, I think, like 2 or 3 years before it was released. And usually when they shelve a movie like that, you're thinking, oh Christ, you know, what kind of shit show is this going to be when you finally see it? And then I saw it and I was like, why the fuck did they shelve this? Oh, that's right, it's Hollywood. That's why. You know, they're like, we don't know how to market this.
It's Mike Judge. Just put it out.
Mm-hmm.
It will be consumed with fervor.
Well, is there any other shows coming out that you guys are looking forward to?
I was going to say, I got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. God damn, my alarm to start going off in like 4.5 hours.
All right.
This is the part where we remind you. Yeah. Just remember, we're on Twitter at Unregimented Pod. Check us out. Spreaker.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, ChristopherMedia.net. There's a whole bunch of other shows there too. If you want to donate, be like Dawn. You can hit the PayPal button. You just give us money once. You can subscribe however you want to do it. There's an Amazon banner, all that stuff. New shows every Saturday. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
Later, guys.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
At DBS, you can study in Dublin city centre or online. Choose from over 100 industry-led programmes. Programmes designed to fit your life now and help you create your future. Realise your ambitions. Apply for a full or part-time course today at dbs.ie.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net. If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Did you become a school professional to help students reach their full potential? This is the same principle that Milton Hershey School was founded on. If you know of a student ages 4 to 15 who would thrive with just a few more opportunities, explore Milton Hershey School. MHS is here to give kids a safe, stable environment so they can be their greatest selves. We combine an incredible education with healthcare and housing, all at no cost to families. To learn more about referring a student, go to mhskids.org/professionals.